or it's a psyop to make one believe that and sit there waiting and hoping to not do protests. No, the biggest question to me here is, it's because I don't think the media will change. That's the problem. But we're so programmed to the media. It literally proves the Bible. It just does, because I mean, the media becomes who you listen to. That's who tells you who the experts are. That's who tells you the experts say the Bible is a myth. The experts say that science are the people you should listen to. And so let me just explain something. The whole reason I printed this off in like the summer of 2020, fall of 2020, something like that. You can see, these are the defendants. These are all the people that settled. You see Barack Hussein Obama, Joe Biden, all settled. Clapper, Maddow, and organizations. I mean, because it goes on, okay? Because it goes further on than just that front sheet. If you go and look up this case number, it's right there. You'll find, this is why Trump can get rid of all these attorneys. This is why, for the liberals that are saying, why is he doing this? He's destroying our Constitution. No, these people were. They all settled, meaning they were guilty. All of this and more. It has nothing to do, this has nothing to do with Epstein. None of these settlements had anything to do with Epstein. Nothing to do with that. This all had to do with all of this shit with AI, AGI. Why are the hospitals bringing this in? Why are they doing this? Why am I still being suppressed? Because literally all these people have complied with the settlement. If they have, then who's controlling Silicon Valley and still suppressing me? So let me tell you the whole reason I printed this, because this is where the beginning started for me, which was really much in 2020. I mean, I had that feeling something was going on before then, but it was once I was working at Northwestern and they put in, at the height of COVID, thermal cameras, but they were blacklisted. And I had a feeling they were, so I took a picture of the back of them to get the serial number off of them. And Trump had blacklisted, like the summer before, he had blacklisted 7 Chinese telecom companies. And one of the reasons was national security risks. The other reason, there was 3 reasons. The one was national security risks. 2 was because of human rights abuses against the Uyghurs. And up here in the plaintiffs, the Uyghurs are mentioned. So are the Tibetans. So are concentration camps, human organ harvesting. But when you look deeper at the plaintiffs, it's like Falun Gong. They're a spiritual group, the Tibetan China, the Tibetans, even Christians, all forced into labor camps. And and these people all being complicit. So before you carry on that this is bullshit, understand these people settled. They settled. The thing is, the media is not going to tell you. Why wouldn't the media tell you? Because God told you who the media was. You don't have to believe that, liberals, or you atheists, but you really should. So anyway, that's what started me on this track. So when I found out that literally a hospital, Northwestern University Hospital, and I wasn't in their Chicago location, but they put these in at all their locations. And these are a danger because of their facial recognition technology and all of this being a national security threat. Yet when I contacted DOJ and sent them the pictures and FBI, nobody got back to me. No media got back to me. Again, finally, and I kept contacting people all summer of 2020. This was prior to me making videos about all this stuff. And so it was frustrating as hell. Finally, the White House had contacted me, and they left me a voicemail to watch for their call in the next week, but they didn't get back to me. So this was clearly a big deal. And yet it's funny because people online that I did, like there was this lawyer guy who had a channel. He's gone now. I don't know where he went. He didn't go by his real name, but I had talked to him on the phone a couple of times. And he kept kept directing me back to COVID. Well, this isn't, because he was a lawyer, so I had emailed him this. I'm like, look at this. I printed this off. But everybody kept wanting to direct me away from this. Like he was a lawyer. This should have been a big deal. Because in 2020, these people settled. So Trump was telling the truth when he said, I caught the swamp. I caught them all. They all made settlements. So that's why I said it, at this stage of the game, which it's a game. I mean, it's a game. It's not a game that what these people were doing, but the game is the game that's being played against you, the people, is the media. Why are they still? Why am I still being suppressed when the majority of Silicon Valley is mentioned in here by name, and they made settlements? So they shouldn't have any controls on the people. Nobody on any platform, from X to YouTube to Rumble, anywhere. Nobody should be suppressing anybody. So who's doing it? Because no media ever talked about this case. Of course they wouldn't. Because all of these people settled. All of these people settled. Had any media reported on this, the jig would have been up completely with the media too. And yet still to this day, the media doesn't report on this. They'll report on like organ harvesting, which they have a timeline in this 87 pages, with the timeline going back to even 1949 with China, because they do live organ harvesting. That's why they keep biometrics on all their people. So the people that are, dissidents, the people that speak up against their government, which there's few people, but you can't even practice your own religion there. So they take your full-on Dafa people, they take your Christians, they take your Muslims, because the Uyghurs, who are mentioned as one of the plaintiffs, and they're definitely persecuted. They're in internment camps, in slave labor. But they take all of their biometrics. So then if some rich, wealthy guy comes along and says, I need a cornea, they just go and take it from somebody that's a match. It's that sick. But they've been doing that since 1949, which then leads me back to Northwestern. I know, but because at the height, right at the height of COVID, or, a month after the height, but still we were in the middle of it, they had done 2 double lung transplants on 2 different people. And it was nauseating to me because they praised themselves like, look at how great and grand we are. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's a worldwide lockdown. And where did you get the organs? Where did you get them in a worldwide lockdown? We're told to be 6 feet apart, and you put a whole transplant team together to replace lungs in somebody that was on a vent because of COVID. Like, it made no sense. And they did do it because, few months later, I was doing like Pilates, and I was going to this place that to do Pilates, and there was a girl in my class, and she always would wear a mask. I only saw her a couple of times, and then one day I was walking into class, and somebody said to me, was talking about somebody that had died. I'm like, who are you talking about? Like a class member. And they were talking about her. And then they told me, they said she was one of the people that was mentioned on the news over the summer that had the double lung transplant down at Northwestern. And I'm like, oh, really? And they said, yeah, but she had no life. She had no life. She couldn't really go anywhere. Like she only came out to go to the Pilates class. It was sad. So she committed suicide. Yet Northwestern, praises themselves. It's like you just use people. Yet why were they being allowed to do this when everybody else was being told to stay home and stay 6 feet apart? We were even being told, don't open people up because we don't know anything about this virus. Well, clearly they did. They knew enough. We clearly know that by now. Yet it seemed like this lawyer, for instance, that I was talking to, and he was out of Florida, and he had his own channel, as I said. I sent this 87 pages to him, and he's like, oh, yeah, this is interesting, but I want to go back to this. And he kept leading me to certain people, to listen to. Like, one, he kept driving me back to COVID. And I'm like, no, you read this, and you're horrified. And yet, no media told us. No media. So this is why Trump can absolutely do what he's doing. This is why the media, none of these people can do anything because they all settled. Because they were all complicit. Again, for any of the liberals, those overeducated people that think they know so much, go look up the case. If it's all made up, then we even have bigger problems, don't we? Because who is doing this, making all of this up? But I don't think so. They all settled. Trump's running this show.